Hi everyone, it's Jaden. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I have a new interview for you guys. His name is Anton. He's from Australia. He is sharing his health crash recovery journey. I believe he's 4 months into or since his major health crash. And I'm really happy to have him on my channel to share his story with you guys. Feel free to comment and show him some support if you're going through the same thing that he is describing, and maybe you have some things in your experience that you want to share. Show some love and chime in. I think it's great to support each other who are going through the same thing with this type of health crash. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel to help me grow, and as well as liking and sharing my content. I will just go right into the interview, and I'll see you guys, I guess, next time on the next video. All right, thanks guys, bye. You're just like the morning over there, huh?
Yes, it is. I'm pretty lucky in the area that I'm in. You can probably see a nice sunny day. I'm not sure if you can see.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice. Yeah. So something to keep my mind positive with what's been going on.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I have another interview for you guys, and his name is Anton. He's actually from Australia. I was really happy that he reached out and agreed to do an interview, and we're just going to go and talk about his experience with the adrenal fatigue, anxiety, and hormonal imbalance, and it'll just be a free-flowing conversation, so we'll get started. Hi Anton.
How are you going?
Oh, good. So Anton, tell me a little bit about yourself, like your age and whatever you want to share to start with.
Yeah, sure. So I am 32.
Okay.
Always lived here in Australia, born and bred, as you can probably hear and tell, and being daylight at this time.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, always had a pretty busy lifestyle and things, and the last, I would say, 6 to 8 months have been extremely stressful for me, with all my things I was going through, from a long-term relationship that recently broke up, the fast-paced lifestyle with working a lot, going out a lot and doing other things, and I really have felt everything had crashed down all at once. And I am somebody that also suffers from OCD, and in particular health anxiety.
Okay.
I've had a history of this from over 7 years ago when I went overseas and got really, really sick. And that's kind of was like almost my trigger point to learn when I came back to Australia, and still being sick and taking a long time to recover, that I was prone to things like health anxiety. So I developed the whole OCD thing with always washing my hands, all sorts of things in details. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
just
that,
to give you
yeah, and that adds a lot of stress, because I've had that since I was young, and I know it adds so much stress to just like regular life, like for you to just like do a normal thing, it's stressful, so I totally understand.
Yeah, and it's funny when you say that, because even at a young age, now I look back at things when I was a young kid, I would see the pattern of things, how you are somebody prone to anxiety or health anxiety in general.
Yeah.
So you can really see pattern of things long before I had the triggers in life to be the big overwhelming issues or things that happen.
And how long ago would you say you had the like crash, or like the start?
The crash, to be honest with you, I've had it for the health crash that I've had has been about over 4 months now.
4 months, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few people that I've spoken with, this whole, the corona and the pandemic and everything, it has triggered like a lot of people recently, just because everything's so much more stressful on top of what.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's funny in saying that, because I actually felt for what I went through 7 years ago, being so sick and scared of being so sick again, and developing the OCD in this case, always washing hands, for example, and always making sure things are clean. I was kind of a bit equipped for when COVID came.
Yeah.
So I was a bit prepared, and I was very calm, and I already developed the
habitual habit.
Yes, yeah, and not touching my face and things like that, all sorts of things. So I was pretty mellow, and to be honest, we've been lucky here in most parts of Australia, all but most parts.
Yeah. So so tell us about like your initial huge crash. Like what do you experience and what happened?
Panic.
Okay.
Panic was a big one for me. Panic because I say, besides having just a very busy, stressful lifestyle, I can be very strong in a lot of areas, but when it comes to health issues and body symptoms, that's when made things 10 times worse when I had the crash. So having body symptoms, noticing these types of symptoms that you go through on your channel, and you might be able to relate yourself, is if you have health anxiety, we always think worst case scenario or the worst thing. And that's exactly what happened with me. And I panicked and I thought I've got some type of neurological issue. And I'm automatically in my mind trying to pinpoint, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? What have I exposed myself to? The mind runs crazy. And that's another thing with OCD or health anxiety or anxiety in general, is I can be very hard on myself too. So I'm always trying to do things perfectly, and in life apply that to jobs, work, everything, and relation-wise, everything in general. We always try to strive to be perfect, but this is why I was just trying to work out what went wrong. What did I do? And thinking the worst things that I exposed myself to, I felt that, oh my God, I've done this to myself and I'm damaged forever. And the fact that I've got these symptoms for quite some time now, and it is scary because you don't know how long you've got to have it for, and that mental battle in your mind, trying to be sure whether or not this is something that is just something, if it is something serious or something else, and you're always constantly questioning it. So it's a combination.
Yeah, I totally understand. Obviously, you've seen my videos.
Yes.
I found that because the OCD is such perfectionist based type of thing, you almost like, and you might agree or disagree, but like I almost felt like nothing was like, no explanation that I would research was good enough. I would find little faults with the description, or and you would just it's like you're looking for the answer that you don't want, because you almost don't believe, like when you read up on things like, oh no, I should be okay, you don't want to believe that because you're obsessed. So you're gonna go look for like, well, maybe this and that, and that creates a lot of anxiety on its own. And I don't know if you know this, but and again, I'm not a doctor or a therapist, but we're just sharing our experiences. I'm in no means to like be doing therapy on you or like analyzing you, but what I found for myself was that because of the anxiety and the hormonal imbalance and the fight or flight state that I'm in, you feel everything more. It's like you're chemically more like induced to feel like sensations of your body, or like you're just paying attention to everything because you're in survival mode,
Yes.
And 4 months, to be honest, I was still a freaking mess. Like when I had my crash, like at 4 months, I couldn't even be doing what you're doing right now. I mean, I was bedridden. I had the shakes like 24/7. Like I don't know if you're going through the same thing, but any little intense emotion or anything like that, I mean, it was just, I couldn't handle it, So
yeah. I will say this, I am on stress leave, which is, I'm not sure if it's the same in America, where it's just I'm taking time off work.
Uh-huh.
So I've got that privilege to be able to do that
Uh-huh.
and try to recover from this, and then get to some type of state like what I'm almost like now, where you can slowly, gradually go back.
Yeah.
But what you just mentioned then, I mean, yesterday and last night, for example, my body was a mess,
Mm.
and I am emotionally still get affected from this.
Mm.
So obviously, I make sure I'm all prepared at the moment, have my meals, so I'm not feeling weak and tired,
Yeah.
and just so I can put on a somewhat okay face to
Uh-huh.
talk about it right now.
Uh-huh.
But yes, it is a constant battle, up and down. And the biggest fear in my moment, I know we haven't got into details with the symptoms and things like that, but my biggest concern is thinking, wow, I'm going to be stuck with this forever.
Uh-huh.
That's the hardest thing for me to come to terms with, to keep that hope going and to know that you can recover from this. And with the anxiety and the way we always think worst case scenario and always question things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, again, your path may be the same or different or, similar,
Yes.
but I had it so bad and I honestly, I thought I was not going to ever come out of it
Wow.
in the beginning. And I
Yeah.
totally came out of it like 18 months later. I mean, it was a very,
Yes. Yes. I,
yeah, it was a very gradual process, but
mm,
you know, I don't want to, give anybody false hope just because I can't diagnose anything. But from where I stand, I didn't think I was ever going to be able to recover, and I did. You know,
yes. Wow.
um,
Yes. I've thought about that plenty of times. Don't worry.
yeah, and in my last video I did, I just wanted everybody to, remind everyone that like that exact mindset adds so much stress, because if you're sitting there panicking, thinking, okay, this is the last straw, like
Mm,
it just doesn't help. It's like it's just gonna add to your anxiety. So
yeah, that's true. And I think to be honest with you, this is probably one of the hardest times I've been through in my life at the moment, with not just with the health crash, but because I was coming out of a 5-year relationship at the same time.
uh-huh.
And this kind of accelerated the breakup, where my anxiety and health issues kind of, was veering us, separating each other, both of us together.
Uh-huh.
And that added a lot of stress and emotion, as you could imagine,
Yeah.
because you go from a fit, healthy person, both mentally and physically, in your last 5 years of being with this person, to not just going through the health crash, but losing that support. And that I had a real spiral down very quickly emotionally about these two things at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this happened to me and quite a few people that I've talked to. I, I had a very stressful lifestyle, but before the crash, there were always like part of my life that was like okay that I could cling on to. When the health crash happened for me was when every area was stressful. So I
Yes.
had like no salvation. And that's what caused the breakdown for me. It was like, physically I was tired, I was overworking, mentally I was stressed. I had a very close grandpa passed away. I mean, it was like in every department I couldn't find salvation. And that was when I just lost it. I mean, literally, I'm not literally, but like, I couldn't handle it. And that's when my health crash happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously for you, it was a combination of things as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's very common. It's almost like your body and your mind just goes, okay, we've got no choice. We just gotta like
Yeah.
crash it. And I look at it now, like looking backwards, it's almost like your body and your mind's way of telling you to stop. Like you cannot stress anymore. It's like so
Yes.
it crashes you, so you just literally cannot. I mean, it's like because if you stress now, you're gonna get a symptom, or you'll like
right.
you know, so
Yes, yeah. And you can feel it coming on, especially with the internal tremors
yeah,
and vibrations, which, by the way, on your channel, you explain it perfectly
yeah,
in perfect detail and everything. So that has really given me a lot of hope,
uh-huh.
and just being able to relate to other people like yourself that has it, and having anxiety and OCD, we look for pinpoint exact details to know
Exactly.
if that does line up with the
Yeah,
same thing. And yeah, it's just uh, all I have to do is have an emotional night, and I'll notice the next day, or
yeah.
even in that moment, that the symptoms coming up more.
Yeah, the way I always describe that, it's like if you just did like the most insane workout, like, and
Yes,
but you didn't, and it's almost like a physiological sensation of like you cannot push anymore. It's like
yeah,
you just and um and it's scary because it will also be triggered with exciting stuff. So like if you're happy about something, it'll, you know,
yes,
we were talking about that. I think it was you, right? We were talking about that. Like
yes.
excitement will also bring it on.
I have noticed that as well. If there's a sports channel on, like boxing or something, for example, where watching something like that can automatically put more adrenaline in the
Yeah.
body,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'll literally feel the shivers
Yeah.
and things going through my body that's not normally there,
Yeah.
something that I don't normally get. So,
Yeah. It also creates a sensation where you feel like you have to take deep breaths.
yes,
And it has nothing to do with, well, sometimes it's associated with the heart palpitation, but sometimes you'll feel that angst. Yeah. Sorry.
yes. No,
You,
sorry, it's just people
oh,
walking in. That's okay.
okay. You'll feel that angst without the heart palpitations. It's like this, like, feeling. It's like the best way I can explain it. And
Yeah,
it's, yeah, and it's usually accompanied with the internal trembling, shaking. Sometimes you could see yourself shake a little, but sometimes you actually can't see anything on the outside. You just
and
feel it. Yeah.
that's right. I notice if I don't eat in a short enough period of time,
Yeah.
almost like that same sensation of a blood sugar crash,
Yep.
I will start to notice the external shakes a lot more,
Yeah.
which is part of. Sometimes we would think it's normal,
Mhm.
but I know my own body that I never get to that point where it's like
Yeah.
this. This is only, more than an hour and a half or something of not eating or something. So, um, yeah, it's really noticeable.
So from what I've researched, and you should research on this as well. So when your adrenals are affected because of the stress, because they produce the cortisol, right? So when they're
Yeah.
affected, they could either be overproducing it or underproducing it. So what happens is when you have this, you don't have the cortisol to bring your blood sugar up. So because that's
Ah,
part of what cortisol does. Is like if you're
yeah.
low energy, it brings you up, right? So since you
Mm,
have a dysfunction due to the chronic stress, your body like it doesn't work very well. So once you get stressed now, it can't bring you back up normally. So that's what I think.
yes.
You know,
Okay.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
it's dysfunction in balancing yourself. That's how I saw
Mm.
it, and that's what I researched, and I ran, I double checked with the doctors I saw, and they pretty much like confirmed that that's most likely what is happening. Um,
The just to quickly ask you, so the doctors that you would see to give you that information, was this
um,
just general practitioners that you were seeing, or were they more functional
yeah,
doctors?
so I started with just like an MD, right, to just make sure that my heart was fine, like all the fatal, I Parkinson's, MS, ALS, all that scary stuff.
Yeah.
Because as scary as it was, I knew that it was a smarter choice for me to rule it out first, so that I would have space to obsess about other things that weren't as stressful. Because if I just let myself stress all of it without confirming with a doctor, then I was gonna go nuts, right? So
Yes.
I did that, and you said you did a lot of that as well.
I've done a lot of this as well, and to be honest, like when I first started to get these body symptoms, and it put me into a panic, and that was obviously creating more stress on the body. Now that I learn, pumping more adrenaline in the body, and it was actually, to be honest, the first major symptom besides any types of fatigue and warning signs that I know I had before. Looking back on it, the major one was the internal vibration and internal tremors that I would get. And I would first feel them in my chest area. And that would create panic, me thinking that that fast pace, twitching and trembling was my heart rate. So I got really worried and scared to think, oh my gosh, this is something very serious with my heart. And then I started to notice it will travel at the back of my head, and the back of my head would be trembling and shaking, and very fast paced like that. And before you know it, it was going through the whole body. And you were correct with what you said is the same, where it does change in different areas. Sometimes it can be throughout the whole body. Sometimes it can be in certain areas, like in the throat, the chest, the arms, all over.
I've even had it on my face and my tongue.
Yes.
So yeah, it could be all.
And sorry, also to combine that with the heart palpitations, which are always there, on and off, and a lot of muscle twitching that I've been getting throughout the body too. So it's can be quite overwhelming at times when you think, what the hell is going on with my body? I've never been through this before. So yeah.
I mean, I so want to say that you're going to be fine, but I'm in no authority to do that. But
Thank you.
Hearing what you're saying, it's literally like, literally everybody I've talked to about this, I know exactly what they're going through, because I went through this. It's like, I know how to finish your sentences, because I know exactly what happens. And I know for you guys that, you're still in the very beginning, it literally, you can't imagine it being okay, because it's such a consuming feeling that you just like, how will I ever feel this normal again? Because I don't feel normal anymore. And I remember having those thoughts like, God, I've just damaged goods. Like, it's like, this is so intense, But it does. Your body's magical. Like when it's time and you've had enough rest and reassurance, and you're on the right path, and whatever path you choose to do that works, you just gradually recover, like slowly and one day you just do. I mean, some people are a lot faster. I've talked to a woman that lasted like 5 years, but
wow.
But again, she was recovered after that.
Yes. See, 5 years. Wow, that's a long time. I feel that my symptoms are definitely moderate to severe. If there's any measure them in comparison to what your video describes. And the other thing I was just going to say is just having faith to know that it's something that just takes time to recover from. I think that's probably the best thing, one of the best things to help in the journey of recovering.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And just to have reassurance, even though it sounds like, it's not that effective. It's like when you feel reassured talking to somebody who's gone through it, or other people who are going through it, you don't feel so alone. And that actually calms your anxiety, because it stops you from being like looking for the answers and looking, it just kind of goes like, oh, okay, you know what? Like, other people have gone through it, other people are going through the same thing. I'm not crazy. It's a good feeling. I mean, that was my motivation of starting my channel. I was starting my channel to do fitness stuff, but then I had that and it just turned into,
Wow.
So.
And it's obviously such a big impact on your life, where you feel that, wow, this is something that I can really talk about and use this. And wow, very good.
What are some of your like major triggers, if you don't mind sharing? Like, what
major triggers? I'm still analyzing things as time goes on with what are triggers. I feel that the anxiety part of me, like the panic, has kind of subsided
Uh-huh.
to a degree. And this is when, at a time of not having many answers, I was slowly going from the anxiety to very depressed about this, very, very depressed, and to the point of being upset all the time, not wanting to live with it anymore. So in terms of triggers though, it's one of the main triggers at the moment I've noticed is if I'm pushing myself too much. So for example, going for walks and things like that, I know I cannot go to the gym now and doing any high intensity cardio, as what my doctor and my naturopath is what we call them here in Australia, just for walks and things like that. So if I walk too much or do too many things, that will be a trigger for me. And I'll feel it in the evening or the next day of the tremors, fatigue, and just the body symptoms all increasing as a combination.
Do you experience the tremors as you're falling asleep and waking up? Because I've done videos on that. Yeah.
100%. Even sitting down on a couch or something, and when they're flared up or they're at a level 5 or something like that, always there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I remember noticing that they would be very obvious when I was feeling at rest. So it's like if I'm about to go to sleep and it's almost like my body's like, okay, I can rest now. It's like wanting to almost expel all that nervous energy through shaking or something. It's like it's been overtaxed. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that could be the case where it's just the nervous energy trying to leave the body.
Yeah.
And it's a bit hard to know, whether that's true or not, but because I'm already not as physically active as what I used to be, because the body can be fatigued a lot of times, and you're kind of stuck where you can't do too much or too little, and the body may have no other choice but to try to release these excess energy.
Yeah. So how's your diet? Have you changed your diet since all this happened?
To be honest, I've always normally lived a pretty healthy lifestyle. My diet has always been pretty generally good, but now that I'm dealing with a naturopath, he's got me on a bit more like a keto diet, increasing with your high healthy fats, a lot more healthy fats, just generally healthy food, and a lot of fruits and vegetables, things like that. And then we'll just see how we go. It might be different for everybody. I'm still yet to have more sessions with the naturopath just to see how things go. And also maybe look at any testing if they can do from a hormonal point of view.
Yeah, I really recommend that, because once you do that, you might find some really substantial answers. Because if let's say your thyroid's low or something, it could totally cause all this,
Yeah, see, and I've been ruled out of general blood tests that we get when we see the doctors here. And I do know now, we've just researched that there's a lot more testing that you can actually do to be more specialized in more detail, to know exactly, if something is off or something's going on. They can kind of manage it before it turns into something worse down the track.
And just keep in mind, your healing is going to be, and I've mentioned this in many videos, it's going to be up and down. So don't get discouraged if you're doing well and, you get setback, because it's pretty much inevitable. I mean, everyone I've talked to, and including myself, it's not like a straight line to the finish line, So,
and that's exactly what I've noticed as well, is not to get your hopes up too much that if the body symptoms are low now, not to get your hopes up to think that they're going to be gone away completely, because they can full-blown all come straight back the day after.
Yeah,
you just have to run with.
Yeah, as you get better, the reoccurrence starts getting like fewer and fewer, and like they're less severe, and you know, it's a very, yeah. I mean, I don't envy anyone. I told my friend, I said, even my worst enemy, I would not wish upon them this. Like, it is.
Oh, yes. A lot of times I've felt this is almost a curse that has
Uh,
happened.
it's,
Um,
it's not easy. Yeah.
no, not
Um,
at all.
what what have you found that's like really helped you that you might want to share? Like, what do you do?
Uh,
You know, when you have these crashes and stuff.
I mean, always trying to keep busy by doing things is one thing, but you know, always seeking information. And in this case, your channel has been a really big help for me. It has given me a lot of hope to know that it's something that you can recover from, even though I'm still in the process of getting more tests done to rule out other things. But just too many symptoms, too many things relate to what I'm going through. It relates to what you've been through and probably what other people have been through on your
Yeah.
channel. So um, it's just, yeah, we'll just have to see how we go.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, in the future, definitely, you know, keep in touch, and you know, if you progress in a good way, share with us, or you know,
Yes. The other thing I was just going to mention was, yeah, with the symptoms in general, another symptom that I would get a lot is hot flushes as well.
mhm.
That would come and go. And this is even, you know, after I've eaten food, things like that, and the fatigue will set in, hot flushes, heart palpitations, the vibrations, these types of things. Even when you mentioned almost like a busyness going under the skin,
Yeah,
where I would get that through the legs, through the arms, and I would describe it as almost like a buzzing sensation
yeah,
going through the skin.
yeah.
So it's so many things very similar.
Yeah, totally common. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about numbing sometimes? Like the little like
To be
tingling.
honest, that's the other thing is tingling. I would get a lot of tingling, mostly through the hands or through the feet or the legs, so the extremes. I wouldn't get it so much around the mouth or anything like that. Numbness is something that I've been pretty lucky with.
Mhm.
So it's tingling was definitely more of an issue
Okay. What about
combined with the
eye symptoms? Do you see flashes and like vision?
my vision has actually been okay. It's only been recently, as opposed to a couple of days ago, that I would start to get dizziness and almost like vertigo type of
Oh
symptoms.
yeah, that believe it or not, everybody that I've spoken to, and this happened to me, that starts around 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like they initially this is the pattern that it's been my pattern and most people that I've spoken with. It's the crash where you get a lot of the panic symptoms, like panic attacks, the shaking, the heart palpitations. Then then like 4 months goes by, then you start moving into like blood sugar stuff where you get dizzy when you get up, you have no energy, and you start to think like, okay, I could do some stuff, but then you do it and then it's like boosh, you just crash.
Yeah.
Like
Shut
that usually,
down.
and like I've mentioned in my own concept that, you know, it in phase two, it's where I would call the 4 month. Um, you you just have so many trial and errors. You know, you have to figure out like what is enough, what's not enough, and I think that's kind of where you're at, where you're starting to heal, but you're gonna get challenged with these like ups and downs, and yeah,
That's exactly right. Yeah. And everybody's journey is going to be different as well. Healing time is going to be different, as you
yeah,
mentioned as well.
yeah,
We'll just have to wait and see how we go.
yeah. And so you're with a naturopath right now. That's who you're.
Yes. So yes, that's right. And I've only, to be honest, I've only had one session so far. And I described my body symptoms to him. But because it was only one session at the time, over a month ago, I've had more of these symptoms come up. So I'll have to explain more of my symptoms to him. And and then maybe find out more about what type of testing that can be done. But he has put me on a certain diet for the first session, as well as giving me a handful of supplements and vitamins to take as well. My naturopath was talking about amino acids being certain help as well. So I am trialing a product called, an amino acid just called NAC, which was one, and just L-theanine is another one.
Yeah, I know those. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those, I've definitely taken those and they've helped at times. I couldn't handle those until I, like, maybe half a year into it. Because in the beginning, I tried taking them and they were too intense for me. Like, I would end up getting, like, anxious when I took them. But, you know, everybody's different. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And obviously, these are only just a tool to apply with everything in general.
Yeah.
With all these other things, reducing stress is obviously going to be a big one.
Yeah.
Just to try to help recover.
Yeah, stress management. You know, one good tip from me, you should spend a lot of time doing things that are not necessarily exciting or inspiring to you, but things that, like, you know how you hang out with friends that you're just having a conversation kind of like this, and you're not doing anything too exciting, but it's definitely happy times.
Yes.
Those are those type of hangouts you need a lot, because that will reduce the symptoms and it's not going to over excite you, you know, so that it keeps you kind of stable.
And and it can help keep your mind off the symptoms as well. Again, I just want to thank you for being able to take the time to talk about your story, because as an individual, your channel and your videos is one thing that has helped me keep mentally positive while I'm going through this. So it's a big thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad. It makes me happy to hear that. Any questions you may have for me, or you?
I know that you say that you've made a full recovery. And would you say that you still experience any of these symptoms at all, even on a mild basis time to time, or you feel that,
Yeah, so only in the normal sense. I hate to use that word, but when I think back to before my crash, if I ever, like, stayed up 3 nights in a row and then go do, like, an insane workout, I will feel fatigue. You know, I mean, that's just, like, normal. So yes, if I do something that extreme, I will have, like, my general fatigue symptoms. But there's no more symptoms that makes me feel like, wait, like something's wrong. Like, it feels like, okay, yeah, I'm tired today, or oh, I just got really excited, so now I'm feeling excited.
Yeah.
And it's hard to picture where you're at, because your sense of what's normal and not normal is very skewed right now. But you eventually, as you heal, you regain that sense of, like, okay, this is normal. Like, and, you know, so yes, you do recover fully. I did, and you will have your like general, like, symptoms of being fatigued or, you know, nervous. It's like, because, you know, I act, and, like, the other day I had an audition, and I hadn't had a in-person audition in a long time because of the pandemic, and I was a little, you know, like, butterflies in my stomach, but that didn't feel like the same as the crashy, like, uh-oh, something's wrong. Like, it's very different.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
So you will, when you heal, you will reach a point where you can just be, like, hysterical and not be afraid that it's gonna, like, put you over the edge. Like, that day will come.
That's a very, wow. And I see people if I'm out or doing things and that, and people can be so energetic and can do all the things, and I think, wow, I wish I could be able to do that again. It's
you
just
will.
something that, we'll see how we
will.
go.
You're just at that very fragile stage, you know. And I remember that, like, where when people tell me that, I'd be like, really? I will? Like, how would you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't talk to anybody.
I feel it's definitely through this process is it is really calming me down as a person as well, where I used to be a very amped up, very over the top person with everything that I would do. So from an emotional point of view, whether there was arguments with people and stuff, this all doesn't matter anymore. It's just all about just calming the body and keeping the mind calm as well. I guess maybe another question that's in my mind is, did you have any certain tests that were done that actually did show up some type of abnormality or something that was...
So recently I started, because I don't know if you see my videos, but recently I met a new doctor that does like hormonal optimization.
Right.
So after fully recovered, I felt like I kind of not wasted, but I spent 2 years of not being optimal and I didn't work out the same. So overall, I just feel like I'm not as sharp and like at the top of my game because of the 2 years. So I wanted to do it the right way. So I found a doctor that really specializes in hormone optimization. And he does a very, very thorough like blood check of like literally like all the hormones, all the vitamin, I mean everything. So believe it or not, all my numbers were pretty good except my thyroid was low. Okay. So, and that wasn't caught by the other doctors that I saw through my recovery.
And so, when you said it wasn't caught, was this even after a general blood test for these things?
Yeah, because the general blood tests, they don't include a thyroid.
Yes.
So yeah. So but it's not like low. It's just lower than what you would want. And my testosterone was very like high, but my free testosterone was somewhat low because I had other hormones that binds it. So that is also a cause for a lot of fatigue and stuff. So it's very interesting. So I'm very excited to go on this new adventure of like optimizing myself.
Yeah, and what about so in terms of treatment, even though you're still in the process of this, by the sounds of it, is a lot of this what type of treatment can they do for that?
So he combines like lifestyle, which is like diet, and not just like the general understanding of what's healthy. It's more like it caters to what you need, like hormonally.
Okay.
Right? So there's that. Then he does a lot of like supplements, and then he also does like actual hormones that you take. But he only uses bioidentical hormones, so it's like much better. Like they're actually the exact hormones that your body makes instead of being like pharmaceutical hormones.
Like
synthetic, yeah.
Synthetic versions, yeah. Really good. Well, hopefully it's all uphill and only to get better in time. Yeah. Even though you can have a bad day and things like that, it's just always trying to get to that end point of feeling 100% again.
Please keep in touch. Like we have our email. We exchange emails. In the future, if you ever want to, give us an update on the video, sure. Just let me know. And yeah, any questions, just contact me whenever. If I get to, I'll answer your questions.
Yeah, no, really good. Thank you for your time as well.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah.
I know it's still a journey, especially for me as well. And I'll definitely keep you informed of how it's going. And whatever's helping me, I feel it will be helping you to let you know as well.
Yeah, and you comment on my channel and like maybe help the other people out. Like if you see a question that you know the answer to for yourself, it like definitely helps everybody. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Anton.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, have a great day. Okay.
You too. Take care. Bye.